Hello and welcome to Talk TV once again. Tonight we are going to have a return appearance by Judicial Court candidate Nancy Lord. So once again, Nancy, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine, Doug, and thank you for having me back.
Oh, no problem. So Nancy, for those who did not see the first episode when you were on here, what is your general background professionally?
I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney since 1990. I graduated from Georgetown Law. I also have a degree in medicine from the University of Maryland. And I've done 15 jury trials all over the country, some federal, some state, most in Nevada, but not all. And I also am a patent and trademark attorney. And what else? I've done a lot of corporate law, some civil work, mostly criminal. I deeply respect the responsibility both of the bench and of the jury, and the importance of understanding the process of a jury. It's really quite a magical thing, and wonderful how juries somehow manage to get it right. That if you take 12 people, picked at random, and put them alone in the room with the facts of the case, they very often, most of the time, do get it right. In fact, it happens so often that both myself and some much more important commentators have said that maybe it would be better if Congress were just picked out of the phone book. I think it was Milton Friedman or someone like that said, you could just get a call. It's your turn, Mr. Brendel, report to Washington. You might have a better group than people who really want the job and, like going on television and spending a lot of money and getting a lot of contributions.
Like the Roman general Cincinnatus, right? Yeah. They said, we need a leader and you are he.
Right.
Well, okay. Yeah. I was going to retire to farming, but if you need me, you need me.
You need me, and that's the kind of guy that would do a great job.
Wow, that's an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you're the most passionate about in the legal arena when you get in there?
The jury trial. I really love the jury trial, and I love my patents and my scientific work as well. I like writing things. I like studying. I like getting online and learning and putting it together. And I think I will love being a judge. I will love the opportunity to really get into the case law and not have to take one side or another. That's the hardest thing about law, is that you have to look at something from what's best for your client. And this will be an opportunity to just say, what does the law say should happen? How do these cases play out under these facts? And not be biased and not have an agenda.
It can be very rewarding. It can probably also be very frustrating at the end of the case.
It could be very, very tough. I know there will be things that I'll not be happy with.
Right.
One person two people, both Judge Lane and Judge Davis. When I started doing a lot of local work after September 11th here, I was just delighted by these two judges. They were simply a breath of fresh air. I have been to federal court a lot and state court around the country with some really mean-spirited judges. And here...
They have an axe to grind.
Yes, they have a resentment. I had one. I got an acquittal once in Fresno, and the judge was so mad that he just turned red and stomped out of the room and didn't even say goodbye. It was nice having you in my courtroom or any of that stuff. And the prosecutor's sitting there like, can't you do something? And they said, no, and just stomped out of the room. But the judges here don't do that, and they do understand the law. They really read the cases and the motions. And I was just delighted to have the opportunity to have a really scholarly and calm discussion right here in the courthouse near my house, and to actually enjoy practicing before Judge Lane and Judge Davis more than I did in some of the big city federal courthouses.
That brings up an interesting thought to me. Is there recourse, other than having another trial at a higher level court? Say a judge is really just irascible and you can't deal with him. Is there a panel? Is there a governing body that takes a judge to task and says, you better clean it up. You're not...
It happens very rarely. Very rarely. There was a case in Vegas within the past few years where there were some judicial complaints and they came after a judge. It does happen, but they have to be really over the top. In order to get a judge recused, you must show some extrajudicial knowledge of the case. And I did that in the case against the Office of Federal Detention Trustee in Las Vegas. The whole bench was recused.
Wow.
Yeah, because Frank of that private prison group had found some emails with FOIAs that showed that the judges down in Las Vegas knew about this prison before the people of Pahrump. They were getting emails about, kickoff meetings and contracting and all sorts of things. And I
that
took
sounds
it,
pretty glaring.
It was.
I mean,
it was not good. But there were so few cases where a judge has had to recuse because of the direct effect on a courthouse. I had to use, for one thing, the case of Terry Nichols in the Oklahoma City bombing, because after they
as a precedent.
Yes, because in that case they couldn't have it in the courthouse where it had blown up. And I had to analogize it by, well, no one's blown up this courthouse. It's going to be inconvenient not to have this center. Because one of the judges had said that the public defenders were having to travel back and forth to Arizona because they need a detention center. And that was before I learned about the emails. I wanted to go to California. I said, I have a California license. Let's just do it down at the Central District in Los Angeles on Spring Street. And Judge Pro said, no, we'll bring a judge to you. And they assigned it to Judge Ezra of Hawaii. And other than not having a ruling, I've been very happy with his handling of the case.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I said, well, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll get a judge to you. It happens. But the whole bench was recused because of the emails.
Let's talk just briefly on the responsibility of the bench. I mean, obviously, you have to be fair and impartial and listen and keep control. But any intangibles there that people might not realize are in play?
Yes, you don't unless you're actually sitting in your chair there. Any little thing can change the course of a case. I have a plaintiff's attorney friend who lost a case in New York and didn't learn until the case was over that his client, he was facing the jury and they're sitting, counsel table, say we're at counsel table, we'd be at the same side of the table.
Right.
The judge is in front of us, say where you are. The jury's likely to be where that camera is. So if I'm the attorney and I'm talking to the jury, I'm not going to be looking at my client. And he learned later that when the other side was talking, his client was going, making gestures like that.
Right.
And that kind of thing can really irritate a jury. You've got to show respect. There's one excellent lawyer who writes, don't even have messy papers on your desk. Make it neat, make it clean. Don't sit there drinking water when the jurors can't drink.
Wow.
He says,
now, will a judge take you to
thing,
task for little things like that? Or
no, not for having a messy desk and not for drinking water.
Okay.
That's something you choose to do to hold yourself a little bit above the fray.
Okay.
And that's how I've chosen to handle this judicial race.
It's showing respect for the bench.
Exactly.
You're saying we're in court now and we're going to...
And we're going to handle ourselves like ladies.
That's good.
There was a case that Judge Davis called me to task on many, many years ago where an attorney had sued someone here in Pahrump. And there was a very ugly case between him and his partner involving all sorts of allegations that I had found and used. And he was making all sorts of attacks on my client and this television station. And Judge Davis called us into his chambers and said, this case is a disgrace to the legal community.
Wow.
I mean, the attacks and the barbs. I've challenged Judge Wanker to a debate. I did it here. I asked Terry to talk to her people about it. And what I was told was that she was so far out ahead she didn't have to do it. But then I found that she's taking pot shots at me. Well, this is not a run for sorority. We're not on Hell Week on the sorority row. It's not a
Right.
down and dirty brawl
Right.
for a city council position.
It's not a reality TV show.
No. It's no, it's the
now
bench.
on Springer to Judicial candidates. We can't have that.
Right, exactly.
We want to have some decorum.
I don't want whomever comes before me to remember me as the person who, said this about my opponent.
Right.
Or said that, or, she said this about me. One of us is going to be up there in a black robe deciding people's lives.
All
It's
right.
not that, and to have one judge say, well, Nancy Lord missed a hearing last week when she didn't know what was behind it. And I had a very good reason for missing that hearing. Basically, my opponent outsmarted me by sending me a motion 2 weeks early without a hearing date. So by the time I got the real one, I had already opposed it and didn't worry about it and didn't even look at it. And I don't think there's an attorney in this country that would ask his secretary or her secretary to show him a motion that he knew he had already filed a response to.
hold that thought. We're going to go away for about 2 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and when we come back, we'll get in to a little bit more depth on this particular election cycle. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back with Nancy Lord.